Okay, so we've talked about some properties of liquids, but today we're going to talk about specifically different properties of water. So the first thing about water is that it's a universal solvent. So we're going to get into solutions more later in the semester, but a solute is something that is dissolving, and a solvent is what it's dissolving in. So a lot of solutes are able to dissolve in water more than the average liquid. So more solvents can dissolve, or solutes can dissolve in water than what most other liquids can do. So this especially applies to ionic compounds, which again we'll get into ionic and covalent more later in the semester, but salt is an example of an ionic compound, but because of the way that the water molecules are put together, this allows these compounds to dissolve more easily inside of water. Water is called cohesion. So we're going to be doing a lab, so I didn't want to put a ton of videos on here because I want you guys to explore some of this yourself, but cohesion is the property that water molecules stick to other water molecules. That's why we get droplets of water. That's why droplets of water are a possible thing, because they're able to stick together. If you've ever noticed other liquids, such as, if you have milk or something like that, that you drip onto a counter, it's not going to form a droplet like water would. It's going to just spread out onto that counter, where water forms these balls, these droplets that you get, and that's because of cohesion. It helps those molecules stick together until you get to a certain point where there's too much force and they'll break apart. Another property of water is called adhesion. So this is what gives water the ability to stick to something else. So we have cohesion keeping these droplets together, but if you think about dew in the morning, dew sticks to those pieces of grass because of adhesion. They're able to have an attraction to other molecules of different substances, and that's what allows water to stick to things like it does. So surface tension is a quality of water that happens because of the combination of cohesion and adhesion. So those two traits of water work together to create surface tension. So what happens is that water molecules are very highly attracted to each other. So at the surface, it creates almost like a film. So if something has a light enough weight, it is able to float on top of that. Like if you look in the picture on the bottom there, that video clip, water striders or water bugs, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen, they're able to climb on top of the water and walk on top of that water because of surface tension. You can see where their legs are, that there is almost a dent inside of right where that water is, because it's pushing into that film. So surface tension is what allows them to walk on top of that. If you remember from the notes from the states of matter, we talked about surface tension briefly. There's a paperclip floating on top of water. That's also because of surface tension. So the molecules stick together and they stick to whatever's floating on top, and it allows that to sit there. Now, I put this video clip in there, and I tried playing it to create a video to play within the video that you're watching now, and it's not going to let me. So if you want to go ahead and if you want to look up a video of water striders, I can show you guys one in class too. But if you've never seen water bugs, look those up and see what it looks like when they walk on top of water, and you'll be able to see a good example of surface tension. Which is another thing I was going to put a video of, and decided that I want you guys to kind of look at this yourself when we do these labs. But this is called capillary action. And capillary action also is it happens partially because of cohesion and also partially because of adhesion. So this is what allows water to climb things. So if you think about a straw, if you put a straw inside of water, it doesn't just stay outside of that straw. And obviously we use force of suction when we use straws. But what allows that suction to work is the fact that, first off, the water molecules can stick together as it climbs up the straw, but also it allows it to stick to the surface of the straw as it goes up, and that's what allows straws to work. It also is what allows plants to absorb water, because if the water molecules didn't stick together and they couldn't stick to the inside of the xylem of the plants, because if you remember way back in 7th grade, we talked about xylems is what takes up the water. It wouldn't be able to travel through the plant in that way. So capillary action is water moving through capillaries, which are essentially moving up tubes, and that's because they're able to stick together and stick to those other surfaces. So water is a very very unique liquid, and that's why we use it for so many different things, but because it has these properties that most other liquids don't have.